Playing the organ in Linby Parish Church. It was restored in 2005 by Jonathan Wallace of Henry Groves.
Would like to talk about, and particularly his most famous pieces.
And 28 years later in 1885, by which time the sound of French organs had changed almost beyond recognition.
A marvellous way of securing a good independent and firm pedal when you haven't got a 16-foot open.
So here you see the big Zwolle facade pipes all the way up. You might recognize this as the location where the console of Möln was set up, and Sander telling about it.
Dirk, have you got a metal hammering machine in the works?
Yeah, we have.
Is it noisy?
It's very noisy. I didn't show you, but that was one of our shooters. No, it's very noisy. Very noisy.
Thank you.
I have a principal pipe. This is a facade pipe from Milne. Of course, it's the project where we are quite busy now these days. And I can show. So when I blow really soft, there is something of a principle already there. But when I give it more air and it starts to overblow into the octave. Yeah, you want to, well, let me put it this way. We want to build a beautiful organ, which costs time. And in the end, of course, you need to survive, you need your profit. But in the end, we have a kind of ideal of, okay, when we are even, it's also good. And then we can make a profit maybe with some maintenance or some restoration. And with a new instrument, we do it as good as possible.
And very few photographs of any relevance survive. One or two we have, however, do come fairly near to the mark. Surprisingly so, when you think that all choirs, and most of all the boys' choir, inevitably has a constantly shifting membership. All easily and, importantly, rewardingly assimilated by a child just setting out on the path to that magical world of musical notation. Really did,
right before a service, we both pushed it in the same direction. We were trying to turn it around, and it went over. I just wondered, if you remembered that.
Well, yes, I think I do now that you mention it. It could explain why it always seemed to be so badly out of tune.
We didn't help it any.
No.
Organ, and you can see the pipework in the organ on the platform at the West End. Well, soon after this, it was brought down into the aisle, and then it was put into what you might call a sort of transept. And the next slide shows the present organ. There it is. It's now 2 manuals, increased number of stops, and it's really very pleasant to play. This is the original Buckingham organ. You can see there's a pulpit, which is very important in nonconformist churches at that time for good instructive sermons. And behind the pulpit are the choir. And it's quite interesting if you blow this picture up to see the quality of ladies' hats in the choir.
wouldn't want people to think they were like the tabs on electronic organs. They're just baby stop knobs, really.
You've just spotted that I'm playing electronic organs more than Taylor organs.
I'll forgive you.
When the organ was put into Birmingham Symphony Hall, they floated quite a lot of it on a barge, including the really big pedal pipes, up the canal. They were, and they, if you know the Symphony Hall, it backs onto the canal, and they brought them up the canal.
Were they predominantly pneumatic action, or did it depend on the size of the installation?
I mean, between them, they produced a lot of organs, particularly for village churches. And, you know, they've lasted incredibly well.
Another church in Bulwell, and then they built it over a heating system. So it just warped everything and destroyed it. So it's just been, I don't know who's got it, but it's just been, well, I think it's just been used for bits and pieces.
If I can produce a little anecdote, my organ that I play, the Porritt organ, doesn't blow hot air at the organist, it blows cold air at the organist, because the air is drawn directly from outside into the blowers and then straight into the organ. So it's unaffected by central heating in the church. The congregation don't know this, of course. It's the poor old organist who knows it.
Sealed it for us was two things. One, a gift of £40,000 for a new console, and two, the fact that some of what would be going in the organ would be made for Michael Farley by Renatus, that really first-rate firm of craftsmen who make organ cases, organ consoles, organ soundboards, as well as building electronic organs. I want to take you now down to Renatus in Bideford, where they have a CNC router. This is a massive machine which translates computer drawings into finished woodwork. Similarly, you don't notice the tuba and the great reeds, which are in the darkness to the left of the swell box, but high up. You can just see the bottom of the chest, or it's probably a bellows for those. If anybody wants to email me after this talk to ask me to send them PDF specifications of any of these organs, I'd be very happy to do so. If you don't have my email address, you can reach me through my website, where there is a link. On to the next organ. So now we have the front pipes in. On the left, they're beautiful pipes made by Booth, the other pipe maker in Leeds, polished zinc with gilded gold leaf, not gold paint, gold leaf on the mouths. How close it is to the chancel arch, so we know the sound will reach out down the chancel perfectly well. The clarinet will be at the front of that box, and the choir organ will go pretty well behind those front pipes. We have got to rescue that organ in a safe fashion from a building that looks like that. It will take them the whole of this year to make that building chemically safe enough for anybody to go in. It is so befouled with animal waste that it's taking a company a whole year to make it safe. This time next year, I will fly out along with two tendering organ companies from Great Britain and one from New Zealand, Merivale Church, another big Norman and Beard, and the idiots demolished the church around the organ rather than taking the organ out first. The church had already been ruined beyond repair by the earthquakes, and I suspect it was too dangerous of them to go in to get the organ out. So they had to demolish the church around the organ. And unfortunately, a chunk of the roof fell on the grate and squashed it. And when that's done, dear friends, in a few years' time, I shall be back to tell you all about it.
Just behind me, to my left, is a good friend. He was dean at St. Peter's College in Oxford. Great Wagner man, and he used to play Wagner all days. Next to him, with the glasses, is James Lancelot, recently retired from Durham Cathedral. Next to him is Robert Gower, who has done many publishing things and also was a presenter at Radley College for a time. Jonathan Gregory is under the central window pane on the left-hand side, who became the organist at Leicester Cathedral, etc., etc. And only 3 built like this for the organist fans here. There were 3 instruments built with this tiered console. And for the large amount of stops and also for the keyboards. I resurrected because I wrote this originally when I was 22 at my first job in Bromsgrove School in Worcestershire. And I had a lovely, lovely boys' choir, which was drawn from the prep school part. And then much, much later on, I found an old photocopy of this. And so I transcribed it again in Sibelius. To think that, oh dear, it's so emotive. To think that something that comes out of here should be sung in such a place.